Everyone thinks pleasure is simple. They're wrong. Most of us associate pleasure with immediate gratification. A delicious meal, a warm bath, the fleeting joy of a new purchase. We chase these sensations, believing they're the pathway to happiness. But what if focusing solely on these intense, momentary feelings could lead you down an entirely different philosophical path than you'd expect? Imagine an ancient Greek philosopher, Aristippus of Cyrene, around 435 BC. He was a student of Socrates, yet he took his mentor's teachings in a radically different direction. While Socrates sought objective truth and virtue, Aristippus honed in on something far more tangible: sensation. For Aristippus and his followers, the Cyrenaics, the highest good wasn't some abstract ideal, but rather the individual, momentary experience of pleasure. They believed all knowledge comes through our senses, and therefore, the most direct path to a good life was through sensory gratification. This wasn't just about indulging every whim. It was a sophisticated, if ultimately fraught, system. They categorized pleasures into two types: kinetic or moving pleasures, like the act of eating or drinking, and static or tranquil pleasures, like the absence of pain. The Cyrenaics, at least initially, prioritized the kinetic. They argued that these immediate, vibrant sensations were the most accessible and real. Why deny yourself the joy of a sweet dessert for some distant, uncertain future good? But here's the twist. This relentless pursuit of pure pleasure, detached from deeper meaning or long-term consequences, led them to a surprisingly nuanced, almost melancholic view of existence. It wasn't the hedonism many imagine. Consider the impermanence. A delicious meal ends, the warmth of a bath fades, the joy of a new possession quickly becomes ordinary. The Cyrenaics understood this inherent transience. They embraced it, but also felt its sting. This awareness of pleasure's fleeting nature meant they couldn't truly settle. They were always looking for the next sensation, the next intense feeling. This sounds exhausting, doesn't it? A constant striving without a lasting anchor. Aristippus himself was known for his adaptability. He famously said, "I possess, but I am not possessed." He enjoyed luxury when it was available, but could live simply without complaint. This was a form of freedom, yes, but also a detachment. His daughter, Arete, and her son, Aristippus the Younger, continued the school, refining its doctrines. They started to recognize the dangers of uncontrolled pursuit. Too much pleasure could lead to pain, they realized. This is where the philosophy began its subtle shift. The initial focus on intense kinetic pleasures started to evolve. They began to value the absence of pain, the static pleasure, more highly, seeing it as a more stable, albeit less exhilarating state. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, free from hunger, thirst, or emotional turmoil. This state, while not rapturous, offers a deep sense of contentment. It's not the peak of joy, but it's a solid foundation. This was the Cyrenaics' unexpected pivot. The later Cyrenaics, especially a figure named Hegesias, took this even further. He became known as Pesisthanatos, the death persuader, because he argued that life offered more pain than pleasure, and therefore death was preferable. This is the stark, almost brutal conclusion of a philosophy that began with the pursuit of pure, immediate delight. When the intense pleasures inevitably faded and pain always returned, the balance tipped. It highlights a profound human dilemma. Can a life built solely on sensory experience ever truly satisfy? Or does it inevitably lead to a craving for more, and eventually a despair over the fleeting nature of it all? The Cyrenaics grappled with this. They observed that memory of past pleasures and anticipation of future ones were often more painful than pleasurable, due to the contrast with present reality or the anxiety of waiting. This is where they diverged sharply from the Epicureans, who also valued pleasure, but defined it as the absence of pain and disturbance, a tranquil state of ataraxia. Epicurus saw true pleasure as a long-term, stable contentment, not a series of intense peaks. The Cyrenaics, with their initial embrace of kinetic pleasure, found themselves trapped in a cycle. The very intensity they sought made the valleys seem deeper, the absence of pleasure more acutely felt. Their story serves as a cautionary tale. It suggests that while pleasure is undoubtedly a part of a good life, making it the sole, supreme good can be a perilous path. It can lead to a constant dissatisfaction, a feeling of chasing something perpetually out of reach. Modern life often pushes us towards similar traps. The endless scroll of social media, the pursuit of transient achievements, the constant comparison, these are our contemporary kinetic pleasures, often leaving us feeling empty. The Cyrenaics, through their radical experiment, inadvertently illuminated the need for something more profound. Meaning, purpose, connection, and a robust framework for dealing with life's inevitable pains, not just chasing its fleeting joys. Their philosophy, despite its eventual somber turn, offers a valuable lesson. True fulfillment might not lie in the relentless accumulation of pleasurable sensations, but in finding a deeper, more enduring peace, a peace that can weather the storms of life. It's a reminder that sometimes the most direct path isn't always the most fulfilling, and that wisdom often emerges from unexpected places, even from the pursuit of pure, unadulterated pleasure. Next, we'll explore why the Stoics saw virtue, not pleasure, as the